Welcome to LaughNapkin. Today I have 3 stories for episode 11 of r/MaliciousCompliance. If you're a fan of Reddit videos, consider subscribing as I put out new videos daily. Now let's get into it. You want a big discount on this medication that can't be found anywhere, or else you're going somewhere else? Okay, good luck finding it. For context, I work in a pharmacy in Canada. And the way pharmacies make money is to charge a slight markup, which varies, on a medication and also at a professional dispensing fee, which can vary store to store, but most are $9 to $10 per medication. Of course, people ask for discounts all the time because of this variation. I try to work with people as best as I can, especially someone who takes multiple medications very frequently. I do my best to charge them a reasonable amount because I know these fees can be hefty and medication is important. Often, people ask to match Costco's pharmacy price, which is a 1 to 2% markup and a $3.99 fee. Anyone in the industry knows that this is basically ridiculous and Costco is not making any money from their pharmacy. Their pricing is to get people in the store to pick up other items on the way. In addition, finding parking, navigating the aisles and hordes of people, and having to wait a very long time before you get your prescription usually deters a lot of people from going. So a new lady, M, whom I've never met, comes into my pharmacy with a prescription for a medication. Let's call it Drug X. It's an older medication that's been phased out over several months because there were other similar medications introduced that cost significantly less. So demand dropped and the company stopped producing it. However, there are a few people who swear by it and still want Drug X because it worked better than its alternatives for them. When these patients on Drug X heard the drug manufacturer was stopping production, many people got prescriptions for months, years, and bought out basically every bottle. So all the major stores had zero stock left over. I just so happened to have a few bottles in stock that were good for another 5 years, likely the final batch made. So I tell M that she's in luck, and I happen to have it in stock. She asked me how much, and I gave her our standard price, which was a 10% markup on the cost and a $12.99 fee. It's a mom and pop store, so usually the dispensing fee is on the higher end. She scoffs at me and tells me I better match Costco or she'd never come back. I said, look, I'm sorry, if you were taking other medications frequently, I could work with you and help reduce the fees. But I can maybe bring it down a few bucks at the most, since it's just a one-time pickup. She literally starts screaming that she'll give us the worst reviews, etc., how I'm being completely disrespectful and she'll never do business with me again. I knew this medication was likely not available anywhere, so I stuck to my guns. I told her again, I'm sorry, but I couldn't match Costco. We'd basically be making no money if I did. She asked for her prescription back, literally snatches it from my hand, calls me rude and that I had the worst customer service ever, and I just lost a ton of business and storms out. Over the next 4 hours, I received 4 calls from 4 separate Costco pharmacies asking me if I could provide a source of where I bought Drug X from, because their wholesalers don't have it and they have a patient who claims that I had it in stock. Poor employees were just trying to help this lady, and of course I told them it was honestly just extra stock and I had the same suppliers as them. They all thanked me and went back to dealing with this lady. She was clearly shopping around for it. As luck would have it, a very frequent patient of mine came in and had a prescription for Drug X for her son that he's been looking everywhere for. He had tried every pharmacy in the area and had his mom bring it to me. I filled it for her and she happily paid the full price and was so thankful and even brought me some baked treats the following week. 2 days later, as I'm at work, I see M come into the store, not making eye contact. She gave me the same prescription, now crumpled up and stained after likely being handled by several other pharmacies. She says, "All right, whatever, I'll pay your extra ridiculous fee. I thought I'd give you some business after reconsidering it." At this point, there were 3 others waiting, so I told her to have a seat and wait, because technically the prescription still has to follow the workflow, which involves an electronic stock check, even though I know we don't have it. I usually give people a heads up if I knew in advance to avoid waiting, but she can wait. 25 minutes goes by and it's her turn. I call her name to the counter, and with a pretty big smirk, I said, "Unfortunately, ma'am, we've completely run out of drug X and have no way of obtaining it at this time. You'll have to try another pharmacy." She interrupted and said, "But you just had it 2 days ago. I was just here." I informed her that another patient had depleted our final stock after she insisted on going elsewhere. She hung her head down, meekly took her prescription back, and went out the door without a peep, dragging her feet the whole way. She had wasted at least 4 to 5 hours going to pharmacies for basically what amounted to a $14 difference. And in the end, she didn't get her way. Oh, it felt so good. You want to kick me out of your house when you can't pay rent? Okay. I lived with an entitled roommate and her brother for a year. Well, almost a year, before I was kicked out. Let me set this up a bit. She's disabled with a chronic autoimmune disease. She's on disability and doesn't work. Her brother hasn't worked a job ever as far as I'm aware, so he's on welfare. He was a nomad for 9 years and came to live with his sister when she was diagnosed, a year before I met them and moved in. I know, I'm honestly kind of an idiot for not seeing the signs. For what it's worth, I work full time. We got along quite well, in general. It didn't really bother me that they would take my food. Coffee, pasta, butter, milk, eggs, cheese, you name it. Or that I was often asked to take care of the dishes, even though 80% of them were hers and her brother's, not mine. I felt for her and was fine with helping them out. The problem was, I was happy. I was working hard, making money, writing music, and starting a new romantic relationship with an old friend. She wasn't happy. I would give her gifts and food and friendship, but it wasn't enough to counter her jealousy, and I guess something just snapped. I came home on March 20th, and before the door had even closed behind me, she said, "OP, you need to move out." Why? You just do. This is my house. She paid the same rent I did and was often late. My brother works hard at being her caretaker, I guess. And he deserves his own room. There were only 2 rooms, mine and hers. He lived in our living room. So you need to figure something out. Here comes the malicious compliance. I knew she expected me to stay for April. She and her brother would really have to squeeze their funds to make it work to pay for the upcoming full rent. Her brother didn't pay while I lived there. But was I about to stay in a home for 5.5 grueling weeks with someone who had randomly turned on me, kicked me out of my home, and in retrospect guilted me into giving them household help and free food? I don't think so. I applied for 30 houses that day alone. By the weekend, I had signed a new lease. If you ask me to get out, no problem. I'll be out ASAP. I got my security deposit back from my landlord, who passed that info on to my roommate. She stormed into the kitchen. Her, "So, you just got your security deposit. Do you have somewhere else to live?" Me, "Yeah, I just signed a lease yesterday and have arrangements to move all my stuff 2 days from now." Her, "So, you're not paying for April?" Me, "Nope." That was the last time we ever talked. She stormed out of the room, said a few choice words about me to her brother, and slammed the front door. I almost feel like she expected me to give her $800 gift wrapped and still get out of her space. I didn't stay in my room ever again, moved out quickly and quietly, and haven't heard from her since. Don't tell me to move out if you're not ready to pay the full rent. Bye, Felicia. Police tell us to stop running red lights. Fine, we'll just extend how long it stays green. I live in a subdivision connected to a major road. The road out of the subdivision has a traffic light. In the early morning, nearly everyone needs to turn left for work. Even if you want to turn right, you are simply stuck because there isn't enough room for more than one car. To compound the problem, the traffic light is green for no more than 5 seconds. We may get 4 to 5 cars out legally, then you have to wait another 3 to 4 minutes before the light switches. As you can imagine, this causes people to run the light, swerve around somebody they thought should have gone, etc. It's a grab bag of idiots in cars, myself included. If you roll up to the light and you see that you're 15 cars back, you know you've just added 10 minutes to your commute simply by trying to get out of your subdivision. Well, because of all our reckless driving behavior, the police communicated via our home association that we needed to knock it off. They had a police car parked near our area every morning for a week to keep us on our best behavior. Our board tried to work with the city to lengthen the light, but to no avail. That's when our hero emerged. We get a random email to the Home Association distribution list from an anonymous person. They laid out our plan for malicious compliance. There's a pedestrian crosswalk light at the before-mentioned intersection that basically goes unused. In my 10 years living there, I've never seen it used. There just simply isn't any pedestrian traffic. The subdivision hero devised a plan on how to use the crosswalk to our advantage. Basically, one person in their car simply needs to walk over and hit the push to cross button and run back to their car. When the light switches, we now get 30 seconds to alleviate our traffic jam. Everyone is joining in, and it's hilarious. My oldest daughter got to do it the other day, and the other cars in line were rolling down their windows and cheering her on. It's possibly the best neighborhood bonding experience possible. I'm sure our longer lights are screwing up something further down the line, but none of us really care. We're now on our best behavior since we now have about 5 times longer to get through the light. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really enjoyed making it. Don't forget to join my Discord if you want to submit your own story or just be part of the LaughNapkin community. And please, consider subscribing as it helps me out big time.